Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the new interview of the RBS Innovation Bites, our series dedicated about new technologies, how they can be used, what is the value proposition in a variety of industries and markets. This is a series of interviews that we dedicate to all our alumni. As you know, you are from so many different fields, but this time we are going to cover specifically the application of immersive technologies in the domain of marketing, in the domain of digital marketing. And we are going to explore this topic with a special guest, also a dear friend and collaborator on a variety of fields. We are going to invite on our stage Luis Bravo Martins from Portugal. He's author. He wrote a great book, which is called Metaverse with Samantha Wolf, about the power of the metaverse and virtual worlds in a variety of markets. He's co-founder and VP of the European organization XRSI Europe, where we are actually collaborating together to bring the awareness and build the knowledge about the critical issues of emerging technologies and connect also with the stakeholders like the European Commission. And he's also advisor of the GAIN network. So, Luis, here we are, just welcoming on our digital stage. Here we are. Welcome, Luis.
I feel welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks a lot. My pleasure. My pleasure. Just before starting, I want to remember to all of our audience and students that you can subscribe to our newsletter to get the latest news, latest links, materials, invitations to events. You can find all of the information there. All right. So, Luis, thanks a lot once again for being here, dedicating this time for the interview. You are working in the domain of immersive technologies for a long time, specifically also at the intersection of marketing. And let's actually start, with the very first question. Traditionally, when brands, when companies, they deliver content, digital content to the audience is expected to be like a passive audience liking the content. But we know that virtual reality, the spatial computing, virtual worlds, they offer this kind of new dimension. So the passive audience can become active audience. And we are actually shifting from the storytelling to the story living. We are going to live an experience. What does mean for brands that are building the connection, with the consumers, with the customers?
Yeah, well, it's that's actually the basis of it all. Because before we also had several events, and we still have several events that say, "Oh, this is an immersive event. Come and feel the experience, live the experience," and they actually are, when well done, they can transport us somewhere else outside of the meaning of the space and time where we are. And now technology allows this to be conveniently available 24 hours, 24/7, but more than that, it allows you to embody someone else or something else. It allows you, for instance, in VR, to interact with your brand and with branded spaces in places or in conditions where you usually where you're not able to biologically, like for instance in the bottom of the sea or in the surface of the moon. So it's actually truly impactful in the way that it can generate memories that are not otherwise available. Now, if you see, and doing like a very quick rundown of the differences between virtual reality and augmented
Mhm.
reality, because these are the core technologies
Yeah.
in immersive. So virtual reality uh, replaces or replaces the physical experience by a virtual one. And in that sense, through a sense of embodiment, we have the opportunity to immerse into a whole different experience that takes over our senses and allows us to experience something else rather
Mhm.
than the one that we have physically available. When augmented reality doesn't substitute, doesn't replace, but it instead overlays digital content on top of the physical one. And by doing so, again, changes the meaning of spaces and objects. And that's why, for instance, you see a lot, and I know in Italy there are already a lot of experiences, augmented reality experiences for to promote, for instance, heritage sites,
Absolutely.
and also in Spain and in Portugal, Mediterranean, all over.
Yeah.
And these are amazingly effective, not just for educational purposes, but also, again, for storytelling in a way that it allows for people to understand
Mm.
spaces which are most of the times mute to in a whole different way by seeing overlaid on digitally overlaid on top of the physical scene how that space was used like 500 years ago, 600 years ago, 1000 years ago.
Yeah, we often
uh,
make the example also the old Roman ruins, no, in the city. So if you see
exactly.
the ruins today, they are stones, but if you see the context of them, you live an experience. Now you live the history in first person.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, truly, the opportunity for brands there is amazing. The opportunity for brand placement, and not just that, to create new branded spaces, new branded objects, and we shouldn't forget that XR is fundamentally an interface. So it's an interface avenue.
Yeah.
So necessarily it's connected with other technologies like AI, for instance.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
for
mhm.
instance, when we're talking about AI, there's a huge opportunity for us to interact then within immersive environments, be them virtual reality, augmented reality, with digital AI assistants or NPCs that can generate even more interaction within the stories that we're talking about,
Mm.
and even facilitate the way that, for instance, my experience in a mall or my experience in uh, an amusement park happens, right?
Mhm.
So all of that is truly impactful. Same thing with blockchain, for instance. I am currently working with a virtual worlds platform. They are enabling their users with blockchain to allow, for instance, for treasure hunts, for rewards to be activated
Yeah.
for each one of the brands, each one of the communities, and it's just amazing. Again, I truly believe also that more than immersive, and now I'm already sabotaging the title of the talk, but more than immersive, I think converging tech is probably where the the gist of it all and the secrets lie, and where most probably the best opportunities for brands to stand out lie. So yeah, I would explore
Absolutely.
those.
Absolutely. And also in these days, when I'm talking with some of the students on campus, I say in 2 weeks, probably you're going to witness the release of a new glasses, so smart glasses. They're going to be almost consumer grade. There are not anymore the glass with an AI inside, but also with displays. So this kind of capability to change the meaning of the physical objects is going to be accessible to all or to many.
Yeah,
So this means that at the end of the day, brands can bring back people to the physical space by adding digital content on top of that. And
absolutely.
and this is amazing, fascinating. Many childhood dreams becoming reality. We are going to play around the world, not only at Pokemon Go, but there is of course, of course, the evil side, just the risky side, the dark side. The hyper customization that this is associated to is connected to data collection. We know these kind of technologies, they are sensors, they can collect so much information inside about anything about us, about interactions, about even biometrics. And the more these technologies become frictionless, the more data they are collecting. So we all want something frictionless. We all want something that is hyper personalized, but this is collecting data. And I know that you are working specifically on this domain because the big question sometimes is, and especially for our students and professionals in digital marketing, can digital marketing, hyper personalized digital marketing, can be truly ethical? In the sense, can we collect all of this data, ensure great experience, but at the same time preserve all of the ethical aspects at the core? This is the big challenge of today. No, and I'm just giving you very simple questions.
No, it is. It is. Well, yeah, but you know what? These are questions that have been always there. Like
Yeah,
I started working in the intersection of marketing and technology, like in the past century. So, and I remember when I started working for this e-commerce store. Mind you, we're talking about the internet bubble, right?
yeah.
So I came to my mother and said, "Oh well, I'm working in this internet venture," and she said, "Oh, my son, you need to be careful because you have a lot of piracy there, you know, a lot of crime." Because around that time, all you heard on media was the all the piracy being brought about by the peer-to-peer networks and how all the publishers and music publishers were fighting it. And yeah, and again, 25 years later, we're at it again. Blockchain is all about crime, and no one actually gives the time of day. But then suddenly you have more than 400 million wallets already registered. So
Yeah.
it has a lot to do, I believe, with people dealing with innovation, and um, and the issue is exactly that. People need to trust innovation or trust innovative environments in order to do business in them. So
Mhm.
business is only possible as long as we have trust, and this is something that we marketers that work in technology need to be aware of. More than aware of, we need to become enablers for
Mhm.
this trust
Mhm.
to happen. Now, the challenge is not just this. The challenge is that the times we are living in are not the same as 25 years ago, in the sense that today, the converging tech that we were talking about creates continuously difficult challenges.
Yeah.
And this mutant state of new possibilities coming into play continuously halves our ability to understand what is happening and to create safeguards, and therefore to act responsibly and have like an expectation inside
Mhm.
of this space. So that's why I believe that we as marketers, we need to be working on top of creating these shared expectations in a way that they can build up that trust. And by shared expectations, I'm talking about the standards, I'm talking about deontology, I'm talking about vertical regulations, I'm talking about different kinds of approaches that allow for all players to have their floor leveled
Yeah.
and to allow the system to weed out malpractitioners.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and this, of course, has a lot of levels and a lot of challenges. We need to sort out identity. We need to sort out how to assign liability in immersive spaces. And these are all the discussions that we really need to have. But actually, you know, I do believe that marketers' role right now is built on top of a trifecta of skills. So
Mhm.
we have the pure marketing and communication skills that we need to have. But on the side, we also need to take into account that we are the first ones to bring the experience of emerging technologies to users most of the times.
Yeah.
Users are going to interact with these technologies for the first time through our brands. And
Mhm.
therefore, we need to be focused on being ethical and on providing the best level of trust for these users in the technologies, because we're going to be ambassadors of these technologies. Like,
That's
you
true.
know, ever heard those guys that said, "Oh no, I don't use virtual reality because virtual reality gives me
Dizziness.
some kind of
Dizzy.
dizziness
Yeah.
or a headache or something." It's not like those
Yeah.
glasses, right?
Yeah.
Or that
Yeah.
app. It's virtual reality, the technology, because again, it has a lot to do with how we
Composed.
are interacting and how we are um, trying to find ways to avoid dealing, I think sometimes, with innovation. So, but I was telling you about trifecta. So, yeah, on one side, marketing skills. On the second side, the ethical and trust building skills. The third one is
Yeah.
sustainability. I think it's something that we as marketers need always to be truly focusing on, and not just to try and communicate it the best way possible, but also to try as product managers, as people and professionals involved in building up the best solutions, to become um, conscious about the impact that we have in the
Yeah,
environment.
that's fundamental, and you touched two key topics that are skills for sure, and there is also one which is trust. And I want also to consider very shortly, because XRSI, for example, is working on a standard in the direction, certification in the direction, and sometimes brands and companies, they see in the data and touch points and data points an opportunity, but we are missing, for example, the complexity of the data flow that we want. And can you tell, for example, imagine that the brands wants to certify, the trust level that even other companies or customers can have in that brand. What is the RDG, for example, just as a practical example, and what a brand can be, and what could be the benefit for a brand to certify that they are treating the data in the right way? Is there any kind of benefit, commercial benefit on the other side?
I believe it has a lot to do with two topics. So the first one regarding the need that brands have to
Mm,
protect themselves from unexpected exposure, from criminal activity, to actually enable safety for from their data flows,
mm,
from criminals, from a cybersecurity perspective.
yeah, yeah.
So that clearly is very important, especially today, when we're seeing more and more leaks, more and more personal data out there. It's something that it's a stain that sticks to a brand.
Mm,
So it's something that needs to be in there, and uh, it's really hard to get rid of, in the sense that it's not possible most of the times for a brand to recuperate that again level of trust, because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
at the
yeah.
end what we're talking about,
Mm,
with the relationship they have with their own users. And so that on one side, but on the other side, it also has a lot to do with the users and the
mm,
level of and the expectation that the users have towards the brand itself.
mm,
Now,
mm,
for instance, if we're talking about a brand where you are very much engaged and you are expecting more and more to have an interaction with the brand principles, with the brand community, then again, all of this can be gathered, it can be and should be mapped in a way that the data governance is at least identified, and all the bottlenecks can be isolated and tackled in a way that it allows for the system itself to protect
mm,
everyone, and to protect first and foremost the organization's data and the user's data. Then I would say more than that, it's also important if you're running a community, and at the end, if we're talking about brand loyalty, it's all about that. Um, it's really important that you have and you can establish that level of impact with users, and say, okay, so we are not only doing this to get all of your data and to get everything we can from you, because you know that this is fun. We are also taking care of you. We are
mm,
also empowering you. And I believe that today, especially in Web3, but not just on Web3, it's actually expanding all over. You are seeing more and more brands and more communities leveraging on those values. So I
mm,
would
mm.
say in the coming years, but already we're seeing that, but in the coming years, it will become much more visible, the impact that this kind of validation has.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. That's a fundamental aspect. And maybe we'll have also some opportunities in the future to explore that. But there was the second point, which is all about the skills. So this is a huge topic, as you can imagine, also for our students around business school. The students embark in a master because they want to acquire the skills to become future proof. I know that you don't like this word, but to become future adaptable, future
Yeah,
adaptable. And so the big question is, in a world that is changing so fast, what are the skills to manage these kind of complexities, to become leaders of the world, not just followers of what's happening, not a byproduct of the change, but leaders, builders, shapers of a responsible marketing. What do you think? What are the
yeah.
skill sets that you would set up?
Well, let me start by explaining why I don't like future proof, because it's like it reminds me of waterproof. Like people are like becoming impervious to the future
Yeah,
and to future changes, and it's not like that.
like it.
And we see a lot. I work in my day job. Let's say I work as an advisor to several organizations, and sometimes I interact with innovation departments that have this idea that there are several rules that are written in stone and that it will always work like
Mm,
that. And although there are, of course, several principles that believe that will change easily or that will change during this decade, there are a lot of dynamics changing,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Starting with everything that was brought by AI, but not only AI, what's being brought on by AI and robotics and flying cars and sense tech and XR and blockchain. So we have a lot, again, going back to converging tech, we have a lot of new technologies that need to be discovered by brands. And knowing and testing emerging technology that seems relevant for me
mhm,
is key. So knowing how to not just trend spot, but to actually be able to do correct, accurate, quick, but effective research work. This
mhm,
means that I believe marketing departments need to tap on to existing research departments that are fundamentally already monitoring technologies and trying to identify ways to leverage these new tech platforms. And mind you, it's always very, very important. Again, going back to converging tech, we're not talking about like just looking at one specific technology, but always to also to the ramifications of those technologies and the overlaps that each one of the technologies does onto others.
yeah.
So clearly, that is one core leadership skill that I would say one would need to have by their side to make correct decisions in the where we are at this point.
Mhm, mhm,
Then the second thing, and I think just a quick note on communities. I truly believe that communities, user communities, brand communities, followers can help everyone leverage their knowledge.
it's
And
collective intelligence at the end, no? That
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. So, and that level of active and most very available intelligence that we have spread across focused communities is something that any professional can easily tap onto. Then a second part, which is really hard because we have been working towards the exactly the other end in the last 2 decades. We have been told that the secret is becoming more and more creative and personalized and more. And I in a sense, future proof.
ah,
I truly believe it's one. Well, it boils down to beliefs, right? And in this case, it's a belief I have. Truly believe that at the end, it's all about letting your user or consuming or
mm,
feel better through your product.
yeah.
It is great because it helps accelerate that. And in so many different ways. That's where we are right now. But that's now going to the final core skill, and this is, I would say, the hardest part, for
Mhm.
you to know exactly how your product can become better, how your product can leverage technology to improve the experience, the core experience of your consumers. I would say that it's really important also for you to establish your goals with that technology. And this is really hard because it entails bringing together skills that are connected with technology, skills that are connected with strategy, skill management skills, marketing skills, communication skills, uh, team building, and human skills. And at the end, we have like a shared path. And this is something that unfortunately we are not seeing as we should happening in organizations. We don't see that happen in governments. We don't see that happen so much in again, communities and brands. Most of the times, brands just follow like what's trending, what's appearing on the media, and not so many have like a very specific take on how they're going to walk that road, or the emerging tech road, or the blockchain road, or the XR road. And that kind of feels, again, that sometimes they're just doing pilots over pilots, some brands. And that's why it's so relevant sometimes for you to analyze, like how some of the fashion brands, and fashion is a great market for this.
Yeah, yeah,
You will see a lot of brands, for instance, in Italy, that have been able to establish a very clear path
mm,
since the metaverse times on how they want to approach virtual worlds, how they want to approach digital communities. And then you see others that are like every quarter, like launching a new initiative, and this is a new world, and come together and all, because they're trying stuff, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
at the end, you squish all those initiatives, and maybe the result is not exactly what they wanted. While the first one does have a lot, or they do have a lot of
knowledge.
value, yeah, and the traction that they keep on getting, it's completely different, because again, at the end, it's all about users trusting your vision and trusting your brand values.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And this reminds me also, a couple of days ago, I just saw a video from an executive from Sanofi pharma
Okay.
company, and he was saying, do less POC and do more MVPs, because
Yeah.
POCs are just thousands of POCs, but they don't run in the real world. An MVP is all about making it viable for initial real testing of real people. So just jump from an idea and go straight to what can be tested in with real people, and that's I think it's reconnects also with that.
Absolutely.
Luis,
Absolutely.
Luis, thanks so much. So many ideas, so many reflections. I definitely invite all of our audience to follow Luis on LinkedIn for sure. And hopefully, we are going to meet again also in the future versions of this interview series. But first of all, Luis, thanks so much again for your time.
Thank you. Absolutely, it was a pleasure, and really looking forward to our next chat. And well, and see you soon, Valentino. Yeah, bye bye.
Absolutely. Thank you again to all of the audience, and see you to the next episode.